You'll find them today in every Philippine city and town. Near highways, shopping centers, tourist attractions, scavenging or hustling for money and food. The exact number, no one knows for certain, but estimates run as high as 1.5 million children who spend much of their day and often nights living or working on the streets. They are driven here by crushing poverty and a dreary mix of other pressures. Some are with parents who barely get by on meager street jobs. Some are runaways, others abandoned or driven here by domestic violence and abuse. Before age 8, they're skilled at begging. Watch this girl's determination as she pleads for handouts from a passerby. Before 18, it'll be gang life, drugs, criminal activity, prostitution. Many will fall prey to physical and sexual abuse by adults. And yet, they're the ones harassed by police, often rounded up as public nuisances and thrown into adult jail cells. Officially, this is banned by the government, but the Philippines human rights organization PREDA regularly produces evidence that the practice continues. Most will end up right back on the streets anyway. A return to family homes for those who have them is usually not an option. It's easy to see why. This is a place Filipinos call relays, the rails. It is one long, continuous, desperately poor slum that runs along the railroad tracks that go right through the center of the Philippine capital. Thousands of families live as squatters here, many for generations, literally right on top of one another. The conditions are just deplorable. The lack of sanitation, there's very little fresh water, it's overcrowded, it smells bad, and running right through the center of this place is an open sewer. It's an atmosphere that breeds disease, domestic violence, hopelessness. And it's why so many children say they prefer living on the streets. It's 4 a.m. in Manila as Jodine Sola makes his morning rounds. A burly lay missionary with kind words,
so kids, kamusta na?
A gentle touch and deep empathy for the children of the streets.
The kids are suffering too much in lung disease, lungs problem. So because they sleep on the concrete and the kids are so unhealthy. Living in this kind of environment, a lot of kids are dying very young.
Jodine Sola was once a street kid himself. He knows what it's like to be a child without a childhood. He has felt their pain.
Amen.
You can see how he's trusted, even by the most hardened teenagers. And trust, Joe believes, is his most powerful tool. It helps him encourage children to drop by his small mission shelter.
Hey, Matt. Brother.
For a free meal, some companionship, maybe a little advice about dangers on the street. A place to learn a few life skills. Some responsibilities. Something like, well, a normal life.
What the real need of these children is really somebody that can assure them that they are cared, somebody that can play with them, that can embrace them in their wounded situations.
Though space is limited, they can stay as long as they want. But Joe knows not to push too hard, since many kids like Ruel, 12, and Benjamin, 13, say they're still more comfortable back on the streets. On the streets you like better. Why? Okay. Because, they tell us, it's where their friends are, where they make a little money, where they feel safe. Safe, because the street is the only life most of these kids have known.
This is their home. This is where they're free. This is where they're safe. They feel safer here than they do at home, so to speak.
Natalie McCauley heads the Child Protection Division of UNICEF in the Philippines. She says aid agencies have had to accept that the problem of street children will not be solved anytime soon. So UNICEF is also supporting smaller efforts now that give kids survival skills to add to their street smarts. It's information that could save them someday from violence or abuse. It's about having someone to trust. Someone like Jodine Sola over on the other side of town. His small mission now cares full-time for about 50 street children, but more keep showing up to check things out.
Okay, palakpakan natin ang lahat ng...
On some weekends, it's like one big block party. It gives Joe hope, even if it is a reminder of how much more needs to be done.
I believe that, I can do something, I can contribute something to save these children.
One child at a time.
One child at a time, one child at a time.
One who survived a childhood on the streets, now offering love, encouragement, and support to another generation of street children. For World Focus, this is Mark Litke in Manila, the Philippines.